Okay, I've never heard of this channel. Inspiragio sounds Italian. Um, I like art and stuff. I'm not like a enthusiast or anything. I don't like I like going to museums. I like looking at paintings. Um, and so this one just caught my eye from my For You page, so I thought I'd throw it on the channel. I have no idea what it's going to be about. I also like scary stuff and like liminal stuff, and like I think that the thumbnail just kind of caught my eye, and that's why I wanted to watch it. So we're gonna watch this video by a channel I've never heard of, called "This Painting Is Actually Terrifying." So we're gonna watch this, and we're gonna see if we can get a little spooked out by by colors on canvas. So let's go. Let's see what this is all about. Movies got or the
There is something about this
music's got me scared. And also, if this is like an AI video, AI voice, I don't know. I don't pre-watch my stuff, and I have never heard of this channel. So if it is, I'm sorry, people, but we're gonna watch it anyway this time.
painting that is deeply strange. The colors are vivid, the landscape is idyllic, and yet the scene is unsettling. A woman lies naked on a meadow of flowers, completely unaware that above her, rising over the mountain, a strange one-eyed creature seems to be watching her without her knowing. This figure...
See, this is like the thumbnail that caught my eye. I was like, it's such an interesting depiction of a cyclops, and that it's all a little bit off, right? Like the eye is a little bit too low. The mouth, I'm like, I don't even know where it is. The ears, oh, I'm getting a phone call. I think it's spam though. I'm just not gonna answer this one. But yeah, I don't know. This is the thumbnail though that caught my eye, so that's why I wanted to watch it. But we'll see what the rest of the painting has in store.
Is the largest in the painting. It is the first thing we see when we look at this work, and yet we have no idea who it is or what it is doing there. This painting is called The Cyclops, and it was created by the French artist Odilon Redon between 1898 and 1914. It is now held at the Kröller-Müller Museum in the Netherlands. Redon was one of the most important symbolist artists of his time. His influence on art history has been enormous, yet today he is not nearly as recognized as he deserves to be. His work is some of the strangest you will ever encounter. His paintings portray an inner world of dreams, monsters, and visions that obey no laws of nature.
Nice. See, that's what I love, man. I love a good, like, dreamy, psychedelic painting that just makes me feel like just a little bit, I don't know, a little bit tingly, a little bit spooky, like liminal sort of stuff. Like, I don't know, I love it. So this already is looking good to me. I like this this Odilon Redon guy, wherever he's from. It seems pretty cool. French.
But to understand why Redon painted this way, we need to know his story. Odilon Redon was born in Bordeaux in 1840. His is the story of a sickly child who spent most of his childhood alone on the family estate, watching the clouds and building his own imaginary world. He described himself as a sad child who sought the shade when others sought the sun. When he was 30, he was sent to fight in the Franco-Prussian War. When France lost, Redon returned to Paris with a head full of images he could not shake. From that point began a period of nearly...
I mean, I will say this. People going to war does create great art. Like, I mean, I don't want to put people through that level of suffering. I don't want a world where that level of suffering like is necessary or exists. But I will say that it does produce incredible art. Both the people who go and also the people who stay at home. Like, I'm also thinking, like, in terms of music, like you get like punk and all that sort of stuff from a lot of the resistance to things like the Vietnam War and whatnot. So, like, yeah, I don't know. It does create great art. The amount of suffering we subject our populations to does seem to create great art. So I'll give us that, I guess. This shitty ass world that we live in, I'll give it that.
20 years in which he worked almost exclusively in charcoal and lithography. The works he created during this time were completely dark, devoid of color, inhabited by spiders with human faces, floating eyes with bat wings, and severed heads that smiled. He called this period his noirs, or his blacks. But then something changed. Toward the end of the 19th century,
Ooh,
Redon
I like
began
it.
introducing color into his work.
I really like the color choices that he uses here. Very pretty. Like honestly, like it's just very captivating. Yeah, I don't know. The palette choices, the light pinks up here, this like cyan right in the middle, or whatever color it is. I'm not a color expert, but yeah, very pretty to go along with like the creepy imagery. Like this one isn't that creepy, but yeah, I'm sure that we'll get into some more creepy ones later.
And what emerged from that shift was something completely unexpected. His monsters were still there, but now they were bathed in light, surrounded by flowers, and set within landscapes of striking beauty. And the Cyclops is perhaps the most recognized work from that period. Although at first glance the painting seems terrifying, showing a naked woman being watched by a monster, the scene Redon depicts actually comes directly from Greek mythology. The
I was gonna say, I was assuming it would be like an Odyssey thing.
story begins with Polyphemus, the most famous Cyclops of all antiquity, a one-eyed giant, son of the god Poseidon, known above all for his brutality and ferocity. In Homer's Odyssey, he is the monster who traps Odysseus and his men in a cave
Okay.
and begins devouring them one by one. However, there is another story about Polyphemus that is far less known, and it is the one Redon chose to paint,
Let's
his
learn.
love
Let's
story
learn,
with
everybody.
Galatea. Galatea was a sea nymph of extraordinary beauty, and Polyphemus, the man-eating monster, fell in love with her with a desperation that the ancient poets described as one of the most tragic forms of love, because Galatea did not love him. She loved Acis, a young Sicilian shepherd, and Polyphemus, unable to bear it, ended up crushing his rival with a boulder.
Oof.
If we look carefully at the composition, the
I don't know much about I don't know much about the like sexual dynamics uh between Cyclops or whatever. But I have to assume that there would be a problem here, right? Am I wrong? I mean, like I'm just saying, like he's peering over a mountain here, and she's laying here on the grass. Like I'm just saying, like logistically, like there has to be a problem here in terms of like you know between the sheets or whatever. I'm just saying. I don't know.
first
Maybe they
thing we
could make it
notice
work.
is how the space is divided into two completely distinct worlds. In the lower half, Galatea sleeps on a meadow of intensely colored flowers, blues, greens, yellows. Her naked body blends into the vegetation so softly that she and the landscape seem to be part of the same thing. In the upper half, emerging from behind the mountain ridge, there is a one-eyed monster. Polyphemus is enormous. His head occupies almost the entire upper half of the painting. But what draws our attention is not his size, it is his expression, because this Cyclops does not have the face of a monster. Some viewers even describe his expression as tender, though not everyone agrees. His single eye, disproportionate.
How would I describe his expression? I'm having a hard time understanding his mouth situation, but to me it looks like he's almost kind of uh like slightly smiling, like one of these, like almost like he's like I would say like looking um tenderly or fondly. I could probably see that. And it's just because maybe if the mouth was a little more defined, I could think of it differently. But it does look like he has a little bit of a smirk or something going on here.
Proportionately large is directed toward us. It is as if this creature has just noticed our presence and is now looking at us, knowing it has been caught watching the woman from a distance. What we do not know is why it watches her. Its intentions are a mystery. It could be observing her from afar to protect her, not wanting to frighten her with its appearance, or it could be waiting for the perfect moment to leap on her and devour her like one of its enemies. I would love to know what you think in the comments. Odilon Redon was not the first to paint this story. The myth of Polyphemus and Galatea had been depicted by some of the most important artists in history. Painters like Raphael, Poussin and Gustave Moreau had all painted this same scene before him, but the key difference between Redon's version and all of those is that in those earlier works, Polyphemus appears exactly as mythology describes him, a violent and brutal presence looming over the landscape, and yet when we look at this painting, we see something completely different. Redon took one of the most terrifying monsters in Greek mythology and reduced him to a figure shyly peering out from behind a mountain. There is no violent gesture in his posture, no obvious threat in his expression. In fact, if we look closely enough, some viewers even claim to see a faint smile on his face.
That's what I said. Hey, I'm some viewer. I'm some viewer. Guys, I'm the viewer this time. I always say, welcome to the show, or like I always, in my intro, I say I do it for you, the viewer. And this time I'm the viewer.
The genius of this work is that where other artists chose to represent the brute force of the myth, Redon chose to represent its interior. And in doing so, he transformed one of the most famous monsters in history into an absolutely enigmatic figure. But the fact that he chose this creature is no coincidence either. Throughout his entire body of work, Redon used the eye.
I don't like that one. That one, the hairs, like the eyelash blending into the hair. I'm not a fan of this one.
As one of his most recurring symbols.
2 out of 10.
In his noirs, he painted eyes floating alone in space, without a body.
I like this one. This one gets an 8 out of 10 from me. Yeah, this one also gets I like that one too. That gets a 7 out of 10. Actually, you know what? That also gets an 8 out of 10. This one, 5 out of 10. Okay, I'll stop rating them all. But
and without any context. He also painted eyes mounted on balloons.
I like this concept though. This concept of looking up at the sky and seeing 2 eyes peering back at you. It's kind of like have you ever seen that like YouTube shorts thing, like the moon wakes up or whatever, like where one day you're just looking at the moon and it has like a face on it and it's like, you know, it starts falling towards the earth. I mean, it's like very Majora's Mask-esque or whatever, right? But yeah, it's like the idea of like just something so human or whatever being etched onto the cosmos, like, which is supposed to not necessarily be human, or like our understanding of it from a scientific perspective is that it's not like a human, like there's not really like humanity in that realm of, you know, like it just in space and stuff. I don't know. I like that concept.
Crossing the sky, eyes that became suns or planets, or even completely independent creatures that did not belong to any particular being. The museum that holds this painting notes that in Redon's work, the eye is often an autonomous creature, a symbol of the human soul and of the mysterious inner world that each of us carries within. Also worth noting is that in the symbolist tradition, the eye represented knowledge and clairvoyance, but equally surveillance, a presence that observes without being seen. Odilon Redon himself always refused to give overly precise explanations of his work. His position was clear: an image should not be defined, it should be felt. As he himself said, his art consisted of putting the logic of the visible at the service of the invisible, and in the Cyclops, that enormous eye peering out from behind the mountain captures exactly that. We do not know with certainty what it represents. We do not know whether it is protecting the woman or stalking her, and that ambiguity is precisely the point, because Redon did not want us to understand this image. He wanted us to feel it, and to form our own interpretation of it. Thank you for watching the video.
Yeah, cool video. You know, I enjoyed the commentary, and really I just wanted, yeah, I liked this just guide through some of his photos or some of his art and stuff. And yeah, you know what? I like art stuff. So, and this is my channel. I can do what I want. I don't have to be politics all the time, people.